So why do we think we've been successful in this space? Basically, we think it's because of who we are as a brand, as well as our approach, which as we continue to test and learn and we continue to know more about the space, I think that our approach gets more and more tight and more rigorous. In terms of our brand, we're positioning ourselves as the Now Network. It's all about immediate gratification. It's using technology in order to get that for you, get what you want now. And we think that this particular brand positioning and our brand fits really well in the gaming area. Again, very tech-savvy, kind of forward-thinking people who play games right now, so we feel like it's a nice fit. It makes sense for us to be here. In terms of our approach, we not only approach the core gamer, but also the more female-oriented casual gamer, so we have kind of two different segments. The mindsets and the reasons those different segments game are very different. So in terms of our approach to those segments, they're very different. So you have the core gamer who's all about competition, and you have the casual gamer who's all about escape from the kids or escape from work, and really kind of that social connection. So you'll see in the different programs that we implement the differences in how we approach each of those targets. We also want to have something that pays off now. So it's not necessarily something, as we move forward, it's even going to get tighter and tighter, but we don't really want to participate in programs where any brand can slap their logo on something. It needs to be very organic. It needs to make sense about why Sprint is sponsoring this, and it needs, most importantly, to pay off this idea of now. And originality, we want to keep exciting our consumers. We want to keep exciting the gamers. It's really a challenge for us. We put a lot of thought and effort into this, but we want to keep them coming back. We want them to be excited about what Sprint's going to bring to the table now. That could either be original content, something they've never seen before. I think Xbox Live is a great example of that. It can also be a value exchange. So for example, in Wild Tangent, what Bill's going to take you through with our Sprint-branded gaming center, this idea of free gameplay. So they don't have to pay for it because they're consuming our message. And then there's this idea of community and social networking. We've kind of approached this, and I think we're going to get more and more into it, and that's going to get more sophisticated, especially as the platforms get broader and more sophisticated. But again, how do we allow these casual gamers to connect with their friends and family in a fun way, and how can Sprint, kind of help them do that? And then, of course, this idea of media value. Of course, it has to have reach, significant reach for us, because it is in our media mix. And it has to be very efficient, which means that it has to provide more value than the money we pay for the program. So benefits of Wild Tangent. This really pays off a lot on our litmus test, a lot of different criteria. It's got the reach. It's got the ability to target both core and casual gamers and the flexibility to allow us to message each of those targets differently, which we've seen really helps in our brand studies. It pays off the idea of now, what's better than to get instant free gameplay. And we also have good value for the money. So with that, I will turn it over to Bill so he can take you through the program in more detail.
Thank you, Starla. I like to one-up Ruben, so if you guys could just clap after every slide, it'd be awesome. Appreciate it. I'll buy you drinks. So just real quick about Wild Tangent, in case you don't know, we've been growing and changing pretty quickly, but we are an online publisher and a vertical ad network. And our publishing business is driven by exclusive relationships with all the major PC manufacturers in North America and increasingly worldwide. So these guys actually pre-install the Wild Tangent orb on the desktop of over 30 million new PCs a year. That translates into just over, on a monthly basis, 2 million new active players every month using our service. And we've aggregated games from all the major publishers and developers, from hardcore publishers like THQ and Sony to casual publishers like, and Blizzard, to casual publishers like PopCap and PlayFirst. And that enables us to reach a very broad demographic of gamers, apparently very intense gamers, from core adult males to casual female gamers to tweens and teens. And most recently, we've started to represent other people's advertising. So we've basically aggregated the single largest audience of gamers in the US by selling advertising for sites like playfirst.com, popcap.com. We just announced a deal with Mochi Media, Free Realms, which is a big hit from Sony that's coming out. And so we're reaching over 30% of all online gamers in the US. And that enables Sprint really to deliver the reach that they need to move the needle. Our advertising model is very unique. Our entire business model is unique in that our consumers have a choice of how they consume their game. They can either try it and buy it for $19.95. They can pay on a per session basis using wild coins, our microcurrency, or they can choose to engage a brand to gain access to a free session of play. And so what we did with Sprint is create a persistent piece of real estate on our console and our service, the Sprint Games channel, and populated it with games that reach both casual gamers and also hardcore gamers. And we made them free to play in exchange for engaging with Sprint's brand messaging. And so you can see at the top, enjoy playing these games with free sessions courtesy of Sprint. The games were updated on a regular basis. The environment in the channel was updated based on what activity Sprint had going on. And there were various touch points that we used in our network to drive traffic to this experience as well. And so when a consumer launches a game from the Sprint Games channel, you see they have a choice. They can play without ads, and that's going to credit wild coins from their account. So it's the arcade 25-cent model that was referred to earlier. We're actually bringing that back in this model. But they see that there's a free session paid for by Sprint. 99% of the time, people are going to play the free sponsored session. And so when they click play, they'll transition into a loading screen. It's a large format, rich media experience, 30 seconds of guaranteed interactivity. The user can skip after 30 seconds, but we're actually seeing compelling enough creative that makes players stay around for upwards of 52 seconds on average. So in the past, we've done things with Sprint where we've done Pong-style mini games in the ad unit. And so we'll see engagement rates of over a minute per user per session. When they continue on to the game goes full screen. These are premium 3D PC games. And then when they exit, there's another clickable ad unit and another message that reminds them how they got their session for free. So these are games that are costing money, anywhere from 25 cents to $1 per session or $20 to buy it outright, where players are seeking out the Sprint advertising because they know that they're going to get that session for free. And so really everything we're doing is based on that concept of value exchange advertising. And so some results from the campaign, you can see that, as Starla said earlier, Sprint targets both a core gamer and a casual gamer with different messaging because each demographic's in different mindsets. So on the casual side, you'll see certain creative promoting a family plan, and on the core side, you'll see promotion for the instinct, for example. And again, the creative is refreshed over the course of the year based on what Sprint's going on in market. Just two more examples of the creative, and the results are phenomenal. We've seen awesome response rates, rich banner click-through rates of sometimes in excess of 10%, which for Sprint is 9% higher than the campaign average over the course of the year, and engagement time over six times as high as anything that they've seen actually against the wireless benchmark. So phenomenal results, and with this model, this value exchange model, we've seen that from a brand perspective, we're outperforming benchmarks in almost every category, and this is the results from the last research study that we did with Sprint showing that from online ad awareness all the way to purchase intent, we had significant lifts in these major key brand health metrics. 10.4% lift in purchase intent, which is in the 99th percentile of all wireless campaigns online last year. Pretty phenomenal results, and I think it's just indicative of what can happen for your brand if you're giving value back to the gamer. They're in a much more receptive mindset, and you're able to influence their decisions.